back to the basics again. This is why we have to follow the lead of our natural organic food producers. And we have a lot of people in this meeting with that. So that's what I wanted to discuss tonight about remembrance. And I do my part in talking to individuals from this tribe that they come and talk to me. So we're setting up a program, and one of the things that the Hopis has started is the resolution to I believe it's to the World Court, to start maintaining an order to preserve the historical sites, especially on the spirituality connections, which means that we have shrines throughout the whole world, I mean, well, the world really. And then to also start protecting some of the areas that have been kept away from the American Indian tribes, especially their spiritual leaders. I cannot go into the Grand Canyon without asking for permission. I mean, it's just like the Vatican, I mean, the Pope has to request permission to go into the Vatican, you know, that type of mentality. So we have been working pretty close, and we even got the Navajo Nation starting to work on this because they're in the same dilemma as with their medicine people. And spirituality covers a lot of different avenues. And basically they're all the same, but we cannot continue to be distress Mother Earth. And one of them, things that really has been a topic among us is that once we go back into the intensive teaching modes, we're going to start with the basic concept that they presented us thousands and thousands of years ago. And of course, I talk about the Eve. That's where it starts. We start within ourselves. And one of the things that a lot of people have stopped them, and this that also was in the drug, you know, like Ritalin and other programs, that they misdiagnosed so they would not open their minds up. And so when the kids are real small or whatever, they always have a partner, you know, they say, well, I have a friend that followed it, you know, as a little guy. And for a long time, you know, they thought that, you know, you're crazy, you're making things up. And, that's true. And so the curiosity has to be, if you're a kid and you're curious and somebody starts blocking you off with it or not telling you, you're going to become like that forever. I remember when we were kids, all my brothers would get together at their mother's house when we all started working and whatever, and we started talking about what we did. And our mom would just stand there shocked. You guys did what? They said, oh yeah, we did that a long time ago. Remember that time that you fell off the mountain? Oh, that type of thing. This curiosity. And the other thing too that I have talked with a lot of people is the dreams. There is something that is happening on the dream issues. And I've had that for all my life. And the hard part is the interpretation, because each group has their own interpretation of, you know, a bluebird can have the same dream as a cardinal, but it applies to him different than the bluebird. You know? So if I have a dream, Hopi dreams about one thing, it's based upon his teachings and how their system is, then assuming. But what we do is that we compare, we cross-analyze, and we always come to basically within a, you know, we target conclusion. So that's another thing that the kids have to be looked at. Remember going back into my child, parent, and adult type thing. And the other thing too is that, you know, we have to be very careful about what we teach the kids, because they're the smartest kids at that time. You know, they pick up everything, especially the new group that's coming in. But they'll just look at you and because you know that you're lying to them. And they won't take on that, but I'm talking about some of these other things. So the next step that I talked about is that is not to, how not to forget about the teachings is the common sense approach to it. Native knowledge. You know, a lot of times when I was going through my training, I would be told that you're trying to make it complicated. You're trying to make it complicated. You're using your brain instead of your heart, and you're confusing the two, and that's why you're making it complicated. So it's from the heart. So there's some adjustments that have to be made when you go into that type. And of course, the history is always a guiding factor. Remember about that, what's his name? The person that said that, Georgia, I think is, I can't remember his last name, but remember he said that people that don't know their history, but then repeat it, especially in failures. So this is what, that's what we have to look at, because we can always judge back of what we did, we tried it every time it didn't work. Some of us that have been around, and we tell the younger people, wait a minute, we did that in 1974, and they weren't even born, and they want to do it this way. I said, no, we got a record of it, we got history. You can work in here. So that's important. You know, that, of course, all of us are taught religion as opposed to spirituality, you know. And of course, there's the prayers and the ceremony. A lot of kids, especially at the Hopi, are coming back. I mean, they've always been like that. That's one of my, what do you call it, a gauge. Hopi has always been a gauge for me when I talk about Pueblos. And of course, the esoteric orders and practices have to be reinforced. Deviate from outside interferences and go back into the concentrated effort that we're supposed to have. And then pass this information on for the betterment of man and the world. See, for a long time, it was very difficult. And one time I was asked by some people why Indians do not talk. They said, look at their history. For the last 500-600 years, when they gave open arms and they had all that, they destroyed all their altars. They destroyed all their religious system. So why should they trust you at this time? Because what's left is that they want to hold on to it because of what happened in the past. That's nobody's fault or argument. It just happened. So this is what I wanted to convey tonight. So I'm going to speak more on that on my workshop, and especially on how to correct these type of activities and to start reinforcing ourselves within our communities. And so just one of the groups that I also work with is that Rainbow group that, they take over a national forest. And I was talking to this one guy, and he looked at me, he said, if you don't remember who you are, fear will overcome you. And fear is the most effective state to control the mind, body, and spirit of an individual. I believe that Palm Springs, I talked about two subjects. I talked about the truth and the fear. And if you can overcome fear, you say you're on your road to a lot of this, open yourself to the spirit world, and that's when you have strength within you and not practice it. So if a wind like me can practice it, I think anybody can. So remember that cartoon way back in the old days where they had a character on the cartoon named Tooter the turtle. Remember what his famous saying was? be what you is and not what you is not. And that was his always, I remember that quote when I was way back then, so I've always said, oh yeah, that's, you can't do that. So anyway, so that's what I wanted to convey tonight. Just give you a thumb-scale scratch of what's going on in the Indian world where I'm from and talking about. But it's going to take a little bit of work, but it can be done. What is happening is that the young people are very, very, very interested, and they're like sponges. You can, and they pick it up. And we gotta have to get them away from these games, or this thing, and put them away and then talk to them. That's all it is. Then they say, hey, wait a minute, hey, that's a new toy, there's this old guy talking to me. What is it? So anyway, that's all I wanted to say tonight, and I'm glad you're here. And so I'll have the workshop, and I'm always here to talk to anybody. So if you want to talk, and come around and talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff, for this beautiful. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then Steven Spearson will be sharing some information with us. So come back in about 5 minutes or so. Thank you. I'd also like to mention if you want to find out more from Clifford Mahmoody, you can sign up for his workshop now. It's happening right now. Okay, I think it's in about an hour. His workshop is this evening, 9 o'clock. Thank you. So 9 o'clock, Clifford Mahmoody. Find out more from this amazing sweetie elder. Thank you. I'll be there in a second. I know. It's so funny. Our side, we have my mom this weekend, we have house, we have like years ago, like my aunt was talking about all at school, my cousin. I kept following and they got up there. Oh my God. So like, what did she say? She's like, no such loving. Because lemon is not. It's funny, we're all related. Like,
like on the, yeah, like that. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay, can you do me a favor? Do you want to sit here and turn this way this time? That is recording. See how it took 5 minutes? Because when it comes time, when he goes to call the kids, when they get see how you could see. Oh no.
Oh, there.
I don't even know if I was watching some of like really freaking out last night. You're like trying to understand everything. It was like, our life is what we created. I know.
Do you know how to take the stand down?
In that book, you're talking about how like how I feel that I was so
No, there's no problem. Okay, so I'm gonna introduce you, and then I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes of that. This is a 5-minute countdown. Sure. At the 5, I workshop tonight. Workshop is tonight. Just mention yeah, you can, well, you can mention. Say what it was. Just make sure.
I'm like so afraid to like go back.
So just
Like anything like yeah, I know.
Just wanted to know why it's okay. She had a surgery again. The knee incision incision. But it's a piece of metal. I had to be a room rest, so I just left her.
Oh, good,
So
yeah.
tomorrow morning I'll go down and pick her up.
Good, Dama, thank you.
It's so funny. I turned the corner with the money. He's like these. Check, check, check.
Testing 1, 2.
Check.
Testing 1, 2.
Testing. Check, check. I'll put it on the stand. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Little test. Check, check. Check, check. Check. Check, check, check. Check.
Testing 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
Check, check. Good evening, everyone. If everyone could be seated, we have two more wonderful speakers. How's everybody feeling? Yeah? It's an amazing conference, incredible people, great messages, great books. So I'd like to bring up to the stage Stephen Spearson. Stephen Spearson has been speaking metaphysical and spiritual workshops and seminars for over 10 years, and he communicates about Mary Magdalene and her connection to Isis and the divine feminine. He also shares messages about crop circles, the Bible Code, indigenous prophecies of 2012 and beyond, Atlantis, Mu, Lemuria, and Inner Earth. Some of the other things that he talks about are the legacies of Tesla, Reich, and other scientists and healers. And he continually pursues an interest in the ancient cultures, especially Egyptian, Sumerian, and indigenous cultures. And he's also the author of 2 books, and is a practicing dentist in Illinois and a Reiki master. I just want to share that I have an interesting personal connection. He's from my hometown, and I reconnected with him through a friend of mine, and who's also here. And I just wanted to share that. He's a wonderful person that I'd like to invite to the stage, Steven Spears.
Thank you, Jim. And we switch back to, good
Can you
evening.
hold it?
Okay. Welcome everybody. My background is medical science. And here we are at the Star Knowledge Conference. If you went to an astronomy conference, you couldn't talk about your star relatives. If I talked to a biologist and asked him where we came from, he would say all life is a product of pure accident. If you talked to a geneticist and asked him about DNA years ago, they would have said DNA would be described as vast wastelands of meaningless genetic material interspersed with islands of genes. So science doesn't have all the answers. That's what I'm trained, my background is, but here we don't have those issues. We understand that biology does have meaning. It's not here by accident. This is a great place to be. It's a privilege to be here. I'm glad to be here at the Star Knowledge Conference. Tonight I'll be talking about crop circles. Go into a little background with it. The crop circles, I think, are communication from our star relatives. They have multiple layers of meanings and multiple purposes. I don't have all the answers, but I'm interested from the perspective that one, the beauty and our star relatives are concerned about us. The crop circles are evolving, and I think they're evolving for a purpose, especially during these times where we're having a lot of change. They've been around a long time, and the crop circle readers, the shamans, have treated them with a great deal of reverence, and they still do. And if you get nothing more out of these images, that they're beautiful, that's fine. But I think they'll affect each person differently. They've been around a long, long time. Here is a woodcut from the 1600s. It's depicting a devil cutting down the crop circle. That's not how crop circles are made. If you read the article in that paper, it says they're bent over. That's the thing with crop circles. And they're mostly in wheat, but they're in virtually every kind of crop. Wheat, oats, rye, barley, beans, corn, and non-crop materials. If you take any stalk of any kind and bend it 90 degrees, anything, you can be as gentle as you want. You can't bend it 90 degrees without snapping it. Once you snap it, you permanently damage it. Are you able to hear me?
Hold the mic closer to your mouth.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
You can't bend it 90 degrees without snapping it. crop circles are bent 90 degrees, such as in this, and they're not damaged by a process science cannot explain. Not only are they bent without damage, the crop continues to grow as if it's been fertilized. You take a cross section of the plants, and there's been a crystalline change in the plants. None of that can be explained by science. Here, these are trees. How do you bend trees without damage? Variety, there's an ice. That is probably not a sand, that's probably a sea urchin, but interesting nonetheless. But they occur in, this was in Australia, this is Marine Dam, this is 1.3 miles from the tip of the toe to the paddle there. And these are woven. The crop is actually woven in there. But the crop circles have evolved over time. Prior to 1990, they've been called crop circles, and prior to 1990, that's exactly what they were. They were circles and dots. But then they started to change. They started becoming more complex forms, glyphs or pictograms. And this was in 1990. This is in the Oregon desert. It's a third of a mile across. It's 13 miles of lines here. And it's a perfect Sri Yantra mandala. I think I've got a close-up. It's like a laser sharp, 3 inches deep, 8 inches wide. The Sri Yantra mandala is an ancient form. It's the basis of Hindu temples. Prior to the formation of this formation in the desert, they'd had a drought. Usually crop circles are associated with sacred sites and water. This was in a desert there and they've had a prolonged drought. But after the crop circle appeared, they started having the rains. My belief on this is that the crop circle makers put this in the desert. It was a gift. It was for them. It was by the makers for them. It's a temple in the wilderness. And it probably also affected the energy grid. It restored nature, returned the rains. With the rains, this crop circle did wash out, so you can't see it, but I'm sure the energy is still there. A year later, in 1991, this is in England. Most crop circles occur within a short distance of Stonehenge in southern England. This is the first one in crop at Barbury Castle, and it has a circle, and then the wheel of Dharma, and then another, and it's the first complex glyph, and it is the simplest of the three-dimensional sacred geometric forms, the tetrahedron. My interpretation of this could represent the perfect circle, source, unity. Here's our wheel of Dharma. It's hard to tell, but the line from the wheel, all the other lines are straight, but this line is not perfect. And this is 1991, at the beginning of when we started having a lot of our political changes. My interpretation that if there's disharmony between source and us, this is returning to the center, to the heart center. just come back to the Harvard Center. That's what we needed. And there's could be multiple other interpretations that are all valid. That's what I get out of that one. But that was the first flip. And there's a schematic of it. And other complex glyphs continue to occur. In Science Magazine, after they started changing, somebody wrote an article said, well, what next? Now that circles are getting more complex, what next? A Mandelbrot. And that's the other thing about crop circles is you will need to become versed in a variety of different forms of information. A Mandelbrot is a fractal. A fractal is a repeating, diminishing pattern. And this is the simplest form of a fractal. A snowflake is a perfect example of a fractal in nature. And these are other images of fractals in nature. So we're going back to our connection in nature and its relationship with math. This is the Mandelbrot fractal. 1 year to the day that article came out, what next to Mandelbrot? This appeared in the field. Now, prior to that time, this Mandelbrot had never been reproduced anything other than on a computer. Now it's in the field. So and they continue to evolve. And here's some, and I'm not going to comment on all of the images. Let them speak for themselves. I think they'll impact you differently. Here's a Julia set. This is a spiral and a fractal. It occurred right next to Stonehenge in broad daylight. It was witnessed. When crop circles are witnessed, they go down in a matter of seconds or minutes. Triple Julia set, also a fractal and a spiral. This is geography. This is not a crop circle, but this is Canada. Amazing what we can get from some of these satellite images. Interesting formation. And they'll refer to our history. This planetary alignment could refer to 2 dates in the last 100 years. One of those dates was the day Wright brothers first flew their plane, and another date was the day we landed on the moon. So somebody's making connections with our own history that we're not making. And appealing to some of the mathematical minds. This is pi, the universe. This is pi out to 9 digits. Appealing to our scientists, trying to get them into the mix here. This is this crop circle refers to the Pythagorean theorem, which includes all of the musical ratios. And Pythagoras was a good mystic. What Christ to God's exact for song that we become what we sing. Another mathematical equation. Magnetic resonance. A. Twenty-eight of these lunar. It's the normal magnetic pattern of the Earth, but when there is a solar flare that compresses, some of these crop circles could be referencing these solar flare impact on our magnetic fields. I just love looking at these. A lot of them are relating to sacred sites. Silbury Hill in southern England. White Horse. Single Julia site again with Stonehenge. Silbury Hill again. And the Silbury Hill is not just a hill, it's a temple. It's alternating limestone and earth. So there's orbs and UFOs and sightings around Silbury Hill and some of these other sites. It's not just a simple line. Well, this appeared right next to Avery, England. That is the world's largest Stonehenge. This refers to the grandmother spider. It's also occurring precisely on a feminine ley line going right through Avery. Very strong reference to the interconnectedness of life, what befalls the earth, we do to ourselves. Just a reminder that we need to keep that in mind at these times. A lot of sacred geometry in the crop circles. That could be a whole conference in itself. You will see these same images in the crop circles. Time and time again. Fibonacci sequence and the spiral. We went to school. Did anybody get anything on Fibonacci sequence? Everything else but. I didn't talk about spirals. Temple in Egypt. Same flower black. Tree of life. Spiral. Spirals in all of nature. Then prior to 1990, we had simple crop circles. After 1990, they became more complex. 1997, they started showing some three-dimensional aspects. This is a two-dimensional layout for an octagon. 12 hours, looking down. Then we come to a little interesting history. In the for about 3 years, 1969 to 1972, we had lunar landings. And then the rest of the 1970s, they did non-manned expeditions. At least NASA got involved in the 1970s when SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and they used Carl Sagan. In the early 70s, they sent out the Pioneer spacecraft. It had humans where we're located in a galaxy, where we're located in a solar system. That was a brass plaque that went on the Pioneer. Voyager went out, and they had the golden disc. There was a phonograph record that went out to the outer planets. And in between that, they sent out a data strip from Arecibo, 1974. According to NASA and our government and media, there's never been any response to any of those images. But in the year 2000, the crop circles indicated different. This appeared right adjacent to the largest radio telescope in Chiltern in England. By itself, we'll get back to the meaning of this. There's a data strip that Carl Sagan sent out in 1974. 1 year to the day after this image came out, this appeared in the same field, and it was projecting here's the top of the head, it's being projected to Chiltern Radio Telescope. That appeared the first day. The next day, this appeared. They're both being directed, pointing right exactly at the Chiltern Radio Telescope. Kind of looks like the Carl Sagan data strip. Looks like a pretty good copy of it. But when you put them side by side, they're different. Which side is Carl Sagan's? So it was a response. Top line, we're using decimal. Our mathematics is based on decimal system. Their response was the same. The next line, elements that we have on life on Earth, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. They said the same, plus silicon. Life on Earth is double helix DNA, triple helix DNA. And then a human is 5'9". There was 6 billion of us at that time, and we were on the third planet of the sun. Their rough proportions, they were 4 foot tall, 16 billion, existing on the third, fourth, and fifth planets from their sun. There's a cross section of our radio telescope. This is what appeared 1 year earlier. It was their technology immediately adjacent to our technology. So they responded. And I believe that they responded directly to, let me get back. They had sent the messages to the radio telescope. Government just didn't want to let us know. A year later, after those first two, and let me go back to the. This is a human face, and it's in silk screen effect that had never been seen before. And I would interpret that. We know about you artistically and culturally. We're aware of you. historically, culturally, artistically. 1 year later, exactly to the day, this appeared in a different field. Some call this the alien face with the disc. The disc is encoded in binary code in ASCII 2 computer language, and it was a benevolent message. They're concerned about those who deceive us, and they express that. They have a benevolent intention over us. And that's all confirmed by the fact that if you or I walked on a field, we wouldn't worry too much about damaging the wheat or whatever. But the crop circle makers, when they make these, they're not damaging, they're communicating with us, they're not damaging a single stalk of crop. They continue to grow. And there's a beneficial effect. They grow when they ripen faster. And there's a ghost effect for years after the crop circle appears. So just go through these next few of these appeared adjacent to Serpent Mound here in the United States near Ohio. And they were in alignment with the Serpent Mounds. Divine feminine reference. We also have a crop circle. There's the Serpent Mounds. Jim is going to be talking more about that Serpent Mounds tomorrow. And here's a crop circle with a similar reference, again, divine feminine. We're coming to a time of balance, and we need to recognize and honor this. Hummingbird, direct reference to the Nazca line hummingbird. Very close. And there are vultures show exactly what the ET looks like, what his clothing is, what his food source is. And that's not even hosted. It's just humor. This is a corporate ad. This occurred in California last year. Advertising one of their new processors. People thought it was genuine for a little while. It's Braille. These are some more recent images. 2015. This one occurred in 3 stages. Third part. Several crop circles have appeared in Torino, Italy, the last few years. Four image 6. This is again coded in binary code. One interpretation is it refers to Enki and Ea, the Sumerian gods. There's a 16 point. Also encoded. But I'm not sure in Marina, but it's 12 miles from Turin, Italy, which has the Shroud of Turin. That's a possible connection on that. This is 2009 in Netherlands. It's a direct reference to the Da Vinci Vitruvian Man, which I think relates man to nature. This has 10, 10, 10, 10 circles, and 9, 9, 9, 9. That's 76. And one circle in the heart. So 77 circles here. And this is referring to our spiritual transformation that we're in the middle of. The Chinese have a saying, it's kind of a subtle insult. They would say, may you live in interesting times. We live in those interesting times of challenge. But we're in the middle of the spiritual transformation. Our only responsibility is to continue to live from the heart, treat each other well, treat each other with respect, and we'll get through these. The crop circle makers are relation. They're overseeing us, and I think there's a great amount of information. I'd like to go into more detail tomorrow in my workshop. I'd like to hear from you. It'll be more of a dialogue and discussion. Hear back and see what other people think on the. So we'll get into some other meetings and interpretations. So, any questions or comments?
That's awesome.
So, like, what does the government do with crop circles? Do they alleviate like policy of how they handle these things?
I think
Is that why most of them are doing it?
I think the government just ignores them.
Okay.
The farmers in England will, they'll them down. If they left them alone, they're perfectly right. There's a market that people will sell the wheat, barley, crop circle bread, crop circle grain, crop circle beer.
That's cool.
Yeah, they think that it has
Yeah.
special properties. But sometimes the farmers will destroy their whole field. And then the same image appears across the road.
Wow.
Some of the hoaxers, the interesting thing is, some of the hoaxers will go out, they'll conceive of the design, and then, for reasons they can't explain, they alter the design. And when you go into some of those hoaxed fields, you get the same beneficial effects. Because if you go into a crop circle, and some people talk about healings or euphoric feelings in these crop circles, if you go against the grain, you get nausea. So who's influencing who? And I mean, some people have prayed, they meditated on an image, and then they prayed, and they'll get that image in a crop circle. So they're in tune with us. They know our history. They know our culture. I think there's so much information that's possible, and they're here. They're watching over us. They're concerned about this time. Yeah.
Sorry, another question. Do you feel like the crop circles have evolved in this time period because our interpretation of them has been able to evolve?
Yeah, and the need for the interpretation is much greater too. Yeah, you had a question.
Why do you think so much relationship, what's your theory in terms of the feminine divine, so many of the symbols being related?
Could you repeat that, please?
So many of the symbols were connected in referencing the feminine divine. Why do you think, what's your theory why that is occurring so frequently in these messages?
Well, I think we're referring to the balance between we have way too much masculine influence, and it's time to recognize it. And when they were talking about it in the panel, that we shouldn't be concerned about divine feminine taking over. It's a balance. Men have overly demonstrated that we're not worthy of being the leaders for the last 5,000 years. Yes, sir.
How many of these crop circles are witnessed? Obviously, one by an important radio telescope. They're going to have all kinds of cameras and other things and guards watching over that area. How many of these are witnessed?
Oh, during the formation?
Yeah,
very few. Very few.
Does anything happen to people that witness them? Have they had any side effects or?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, there's light sometimes associated with, or whirring noise, or some kind of humming noise, but nothing negative. No.
So if they never mowed over them or did anything to them, they would stay, except for, you said in a rare occasion.
The interesting thing about, am I running over 1 minute? Plants are phototactic. If you bend it over, it will tend to grow to the light. Crop circle won't do that. It will continue growing against the law of nature. It will continue growing in the direction of the bend. And they pull it right. So I think I'm out of time. I'd love to talk in more detail tomorrow at the workshop, 11 o'clock. So thank you very much, and thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We're going to take another 5-minute break and then have our last speaker of the first day of the Start Knowledge Conference. It's Mary Sillier. So please return in about 5 minutes or so. Thank you.
Oh, I'm telling him. Cut him off. Okay. He was half sentence and I just was like, whoa. always wondered. That's crazy that would go sideways.
Thank you, very interesting, by the way, I'm not in the neurosurgeon. And the things one, a lot of it has to do with sacred geometry and symbols. Mystic and exorcism.
Your questions.
Independently, it's very kind to think about different pieces. A lot of it has to do with, all of it has to do with why this would be.
Right, yeah. You don't have a computer. Try to find it. Do you want to make
And it symbols.
Yes, so what I'll do is I'll put in. Yeah.
Look forward to
Some of those.
thank you for tie-ins.
We'll do like a little closure.
You? Okay, cool, good.
I've been doing a lot of virtual.
Good, good people.
Have you ever heard of,
Yeah.
Don Juan?
Yeah.
Travis
I was thinking
Preston?
you all tonight.
He's still alive. He'll be 102 in January. I still,
Is there a
very vigorous.
It's just like, yeah.
And then
Good.
yeah, well, we were just wondering, so people that have actually stayed overnight across the like 4 H's, do they see, like, so obviously you have to just like on site, like, next time, but like,
Okay, so, yeah.
make it happen.
I love that.
And so like, things like special deals, so
Thank you.
Yeah.
There is, that's grandfather Kachori down on Wayaki.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's very seldom that somebody just. Right. But they'll be close enough, and there's one video, it's like 10 seconds, of balls of light.
So maybe it's still thinks it's probably like hoaxes, right?
It's, they're treating the crops the same way they treat the UFOs. They just make fun of it.
Yeah.
And
Because they don't want to. They don't want people.
But the government's very much aware of it.
Well, that's what it's.
English,
Majority of them.
We can appear, they're all over the world. They're
Well,
all
it seems
over.
like whenever I was seated, it's always.
Majority are within 25 miles of Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Stonehenge, I mean, it's not just Stonehenge. A bunch of stuff over there. Stonehenge.
No.
Way, way away.
I don't know.
And you can't explain whiteboards. How is that, state like that? Okay.
Farmers are smart, they just, make up their diet.
That's what they do. They do. They do.
£5 to go on there.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
They're so cute. So see, this just clicks off, and it's literally this piece.
It's a
That's
webcam.
all it is.
It's a portable web.
And it has its own microphone.
But is this part of the webinar?
Yeah, exactly. Great. They hear noises or see seconds
She was talking.
The stories were a lot like the circles business. They could fly, flowers fly, sacred parts of coming in, sort of like, this weekend.
What could you sense?
I was talking to you and it's. Oh, here it is. We're just holding steady right now. Actually, that's fine. Welcome to all of those who are listening online. Really happy that you could join us. You are definitely here as part of this ceremony. And just want to say hello. We haven't forgotten about you. It's about 5 or 10 minutes downtime in between the speakers, so people are mingling and exercising and getting ready for the next speakers. I'd like to introduce the next speaker. This is Mary Solio. Mary is an author, channel, gazer, visionary, speaker, and self-described synchronist. She has a 3-time award-winning book, and she's trained in psychology, hypnotherapy, and alternative healing modalities, and recognizes synchronicity in many ways that it shows up in our lives, learning how to have a relationship with our angels, and understanding how to create the reality that we desire. Mary channels Archangel Michael and has published a few books about this, and she'll share a little bit more about who she is and the work that she's doing at this time. And at the end, she'll talk a little bit about her workshop. So I'd like to introduce Mary Solier as our last speaker for this evening. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. Everyone at home? Well, I am so happy and honored to be here. And thank you to Chief Golden Life Eagle. You're welcome. It was actually after communicating with the chief about presenting here that I realized that the name of the conference, this Star Knowledge Conference, is 1212. Well, my publishing company is 1212 Publishing. So it just seemed one of the many signs validating that I indeed be here. So I'm so grateful. 1212 for me personally represents my connection to our beloved Archangel Michael, whom I've channeled since 2001. He gave me my name Soliel at the time, my last name Soliel. And at that time, he asked me to come up with the numerology of the name. My name and his name, and I was delighted to find that they are both 12. So that's what 1212 is to us. So Michael often leaves me with signs of 1212, whether it's on the digital clock or elsewhere, and I consider them all, wings from Michael. And I definitely consider being at this conference a big wing. So, by the way, Archangel Michael did pre-register for all 3 days, so. Very organized Archangel. But seriously, he's here with so many of our unseen friends. So I'm going to delve quickly into my message now, as I will also be performing a live gazing at the end, and I want enough time for that. A divine white light came into my right eye on October 2nd, 1994. And it thrust me into the most beautiful point of no return, my conscious spiritual journey. 7 years later, I began to channel Archangel Michael. And he immediately began describing to me the heaven on earth that we are now creating. This is what I want to share with you tonight. So many things he said back then are now coming into fruition, or we're at least getting an inkling of them. So, what is fifth dimensional living going to be like? I realize that all that I'm going to share with you is anew, but it's very important to concentrate on what we are all working so hard for now. These times aren't just about reversing the devastation, not just about the rebuilding, but also preparing ourselves for and getting excited about where we're headed. And this is going to help us through these challenges that we are now going through. So let's keep our eyes on the prize and talk about what is to come. What is our new earth going to look like? When we fully shift, life may appear the same at first glance at least. The homes, the trees, the buildings, the land. However, upon closer look, we're going to see that nothing will really be the same because in a sense, because everything will have raised its vibration. That's every rock, every tree, every person, every animal, everything. And what is not there chose not to be there, or could not possibly exist in the vibration of Christ consciousness. We will become increasingly telepathic. Some of you are already experiencing this now, and it's just going to grow. We will create like never before, creating from our conscious minds, no longer our subconscious minds that are programs of the past and ancient past that really have run us like computer software. Every possible lesson has been in our faces in recent years to clear and release all that is no longer serving the evolving human. We will feel like we have a clean slate from our past and karma. It's just no longer going to exist. So we're finally going to be off that wheel. So that alone is huge. Now with our cells and DNA evolving, Archangel Michael says that it will eventually become impossible for our bodies to hold disease, just as it is for those in the heavenly realms. We will one day feel as if we drank from the fountain of youth, he says. And as we will appear as a physical reflection of who we really are. And as the divine feminine energies pour into our reality, we will become lighter in all ways. We will feel lighter physically. We will feel lighter emotionally as we transcend the mental traps of the ego. And our thoughts and words will be lighter as we increasingly release fear and negativity and further embrace love. And somewhere down the road of our evolution, our lighter way of being will even allow us to teleport. We will see each other as equals. The ways of competition and idolizing the few among us will no longer be. Just as the angels aren't into competition or idolization and rather work together always for the greater good. We will have the freedom and desire to explore our creative sides like never before, truly live in our passions. Talents and abilities that have laid dormant, perhaps for lifetimes, will surface. And we will paint our new lives with creativity as the driving force. Miracles will become widespread and commonplace. My favorite one. There will be great rise of new phenomena and manifestations that will thrill us. Michael says, and we're seeing this now, technology will be on the rise. Earth-friendly, revolutionary discoveries will be increasingly utilized and will astound us. Some hidden ones are resurfacing from the past, as you know, i.e. Nikola Tesla. Waiting for the lights to flicker when I say his name. He does that. Our senses will fully awaken, and we will see and hear differently in more metaphysical ways. Touch will feel different. Our psychic senses will skyrocket. We will become more godlike, embracing our spiritual sides more than 100-fold, says Michael. The peace of God that has lied relatively dormant for thousands of lifetimes in most of us, within the hidden recesses of the superconscious mind within each of us, will unveil itself consciously and grow. We will leave societal programming that does not work, and rather we march to our own drummers, hand in hand with God. We lessen our focus on the material and treasure simplicity. And as we do that, everyday stressors will be much less existent. The me way of being is becoming the we way of being. I know a lot of you in this room are already, you've got that down. Our hearts will embrace life in all its forms, and we will feel in love with the earth and all living things. It will be ecstatic. Those in the heavenly realms reside in a vibration that is ecstatic. We will eventually live in ecstatic bliss, much like the energy of sexual bliss, but not originating from the sexual organs, but rather feeling it through the whole entire physical being. We may have in the past, or will have, instantaneous brief glimpses into this feeling from time to time, which will serve as previews for what is ahead. And when we experience those glimpses of bliss, we will realize how, when living in the state, war and violence, they just will be impossible, obsolete. And stress as we know it will continually lessen. It's not like we won't have challenges anymore, of course. I mean, we're always going to be on this never-ending path of spiritual growth, but life will be remarkably filled with peace and contentedness. We will see life from a galactic viewpoint. All of you here already do. But not see ourselves merely as a citizen of our locale, our city, state, country, or even world. We will be able to see and connect to all that is. And that includes seeing those in the heavenly realms. We will even be able to see and communicate with past loved ones sometime in the future. Michael says that the time of sorrow and grief are nearly over. So while we are all constantly in the presence of angels, ascended masters, guides, and past loved ones now, etc., we will live consciously among them. Michael says the wild will not be so wild, meaning the animals in the wild have always mirrored the new ways of the human. They are now mirroring the new ways of the new humans, of new evolving human, as we move further into love. We're starting to see this. Wild animals exhibiting closeness and connection with humans, with lessons and no aggression. And we're also seeing more loving connections between animals, even interspecies. And look at the rise in human compassion for animals now. We are really rethinking everything as we move further into our hearts. We will find, or have already found, that pseudo foods, which we have been robotically eating for far too long, have had detrimental effects on our health. Well, they will fade, and our bodies will increasingly tolerate only real food, or more plant-based choices. And there will come a distant time when our bodies will no longer require food or water, as light from the new sun, which I will describe later, becomes the human's sole source of energy, and it will fulfill all our needs. Anything that does not resonate with the higher vibrations that we are growing as a collective will eventually fall. Someone at a recent book signing asked me if I really believe that we are moving forward into a golden age. Absolutely, absolutely. She said, well, things just seem to get worse. Yes, that's what they want us to believe and think and then create. But I gave this one example of positive change, for instance. Michael said many years ago that corporations must change their ways and stop poisoning the masses, or they will fall. Well, that's happening. Corporations that don't serve humanity, especially those that harm humanity, are losing money, respect, and business. Look at how things are going increasingly sour for the corporation that created GMOs. More than 60 countries with serious restrictions or bans on them. Look at the closings of the most famous fast food restaurant all around the world, while the more consciously responsible restaurants are on the rise. People are awakening to the dangers of not only the insanity of GMOs and other poisons in food, but poisons in vaccinations and pharmaceuticals, fluoride in our water, chemtrails in our air, and much more. And while it sure can't happen fast enough for us, things are changing. But our attitude is so vital. In addition to constantly exercising the power of choice in what we buy, what we put into our bodies, what we support, where we live, etc., may we maintain a powerful knowingness that we are way too strong for these dark influences. And as we raise our vibes, we transcend any effects. It is also important that we celebrate the falls of corruption, but while moving forward. Michael says this. He says, as the news of the darkness continues to get revealed, do not let this affect your light. Celebrate that the light has exposed it, knowing that it will and must come down. Celebrate these spinal falls for that which does not serve humanity and have actually imprisoned humanity for so long. But understand and revel in the power of the light and don't look back. Revel in the wind and don't put your thoughts and energies on the fallen darkness. There is no time to dwell on it, but rather stay focused on the next steps humanity must take to move into the golden age. Unquote. For anyone having any doubt that we are truly moving forward, just look at the children, right? God designed this perfectly, did he not? If this weren't happening, why would there be so many high vibrational kids incarnating now? They come in basically vibrationally upgraded, showing immense love, awareness, and compassion. They exhibit otherworldly talents, inventiveness, and abilities, all to help shift us and show us the way to our new earth. Michael says this, many of your children are the peacekeepers. They will direct their light naturally where it needs to be. They will adjust and adapt better than most everyone else, as they are generally not set as far apart from their souls as adults are. They will ease into knowing their souls and living from the soul, and will be examples for all of you. You will look to your children as your teachers in many ways and will follow their lead. In a child's heart, you will find so much hope and zest for life. They will inspire you to seek that in your own hearts. Unquote. So, isn't the big question, when is this all going to happen, right? Well, Michael responds to this question in our book, The New Sun. He says, there is no answer to this question yet. Aside from what you may hear from channels and prophets, this date is not set in stone. It will be revealed to you when things truly are set in stone, so to speak. But within 8 years of your time, life on this planet will indeed be very different, unquote. Now that would be the year 2021. 8 years from when I channeled this. I repeat, he's saying life will be different, very different. Not that we'll fully shift by then. Michael says that some of the shifts are instant, are over time, and some are in the twinkling of an eye. It's up to us. We are all co-creators with free will. So while there are potentials, my understanding is that we really don't know exactly when. But this sure reveals a lot to look forward to. Consider the monumental changes and shifts within and outside of us in just this past year alone. We are in the midst of a grand quickening and awakening. If I had to sum up in one phrase what our heaven on earth lives will be like, according to Archangel's messages since 2001, it would be this: humans living from the heart, heart-centered living. The unserving aspects of the mind and ego are slowly dissipating as the ego is moving into the back seat and no longer in the driver's seat. We are moving into the space where our greatest wisdom lies, our hearts. And we are learning to navigate with our hearts in our daily living now. Our feelings will rule when experiencing heart-centered living. We will connect to all beings, all stimuli from our hearts. We weren't taught this. When Michael first shared this concept 14 years ago, I thought, how will I convince readers on living from the heart when we are so programmed, deeply programmed, to live with full control of the mind? But this shift is naturally happening. Michael says in Michael's clearing call, when you release your fears, you empower yourself and create a loving connection with your heart. Does that feel too touchy-feely for you to live from your heart? I tell you that there is no shame in living from your heart and to be in constant touch with your feelings. And in fact, you will find a joy greater than you can imagine by living in this manner. To live from the heart, all things that come into your life will be seen by a heart connection, not a mind connection. You will sense, feel, and honor everything in your world as a form of living energy. From that place, you will have a greater understanding of everything, which results in a greater wisdom to guide you on your path. And all without getting your thinking part of you involved. Your heart has a wisdom that is greater than the mind. Your heart is the gateway to spiritual growth, not your mind. Feel your way into life. Feel your way into communicating with others. Feel your way into resolving conflicts. Feel your way into every part of your daily life. When you do this, you begin to see how much wisdom your heart holds. Trust it like never before, unquote. So Michael suggests we literally talk to our hearts. It helps to hold our hand there as a tactile reminder. We can ask any question and then simply listen. The answer may come in words, symbols, a vision, a feeling, even all this wrapped up into an incredible form of communication within a mere instant. It's very fast. I mean, just an example, recently I was stressed about something, I checked in with my heart, and I saw ocean, in like a vision of the ocean. I saw or heard, I think it was like sensed the words, be like water, and I felt myself in the water, all within, an instant. And it just shifted me out of how I was feeling instantly. So it does, the heart provides a richer answer well beyond the languages we speak. It takes practice to get in the habit of talking to your heart, but I guarantee you will be amazed by this practice if you aren't already. With all the beautiful energy here, let's just try this out for a moment. Place your hand on your heart, close your eyes, be open, and ask your heart, what is it I should know in this moment? Your trust of the responses will grow rapidly because you will be amazed by the wisdom provided with ease and how the answers prove themselves. We can meet all those from the heavenly realms right here in our hearts. We can feel them here. And we will especially then feel a peace never before felt when we truly connect. Your connection to your heart really can feel ecstatic. It has been very hard on our hearts living on the earth, especially for those of us who are aware, sensitive, and awakened to what humanity has been subjected to and continues to, with the atrocities inflicted on our beautiful earth and everything in it. I know that for me, seeing life from a higher perspective is how I always cope. Always, always, always seeing from a higher perspective. Michael said this years ago. He said, there will be shocking and upsetting news of the darkness that has resided among all of you. And many of you will be glad you never knew about it, as it would have been too hard bearing knowing about it. It would have ripped at your sense of well-being, unquote. Sometimes we don't know where to turn or how to cope. We're so tired of the darkness, and at times we may not know who or what to believe or trust. But Archangel Michael says this, you who are on earth are presently being bombarded with dishonesty and untruths coming from so many different directions that you often do not know what to believe about earthly things, let alone spiritual ones. This will change, he says, unquote. But until then, check in with your heart. And you will get the answers and the help and clarity you need. Of course, that is only the beginning. We have unlimited help from the heavens. And that is what my workshop will be on tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Lady Washington Room. As we all connect with the angelic realm, we all can and do channel messages from them, whether we are aware of it or not. They may be whispering to us to turn left, not right. Sit next to him, not in the corner. Go to this practitioner, not that one. Or go listen to what that lady with the wild hair has to say. She has something that I'm going to say through her. So, you know, they're whispering to our unconscious selves, but when we become conscious listeners and communicators, we receive precious gifts beyond compare. It is much easier to channel now as the veils have thinned so much, and it is our divine birthright to receive divine messages, if we so desire. And if you aren't already, there is nothing special about me or anyone who channels. In fact, it didn't come easily to me, as I share honestly in Michael's clearing call. I had to work through a lot of doubt, and it was a little scary putting info out there that I'd never heard before. But I found that synchronicity validated everything, and I trust Michael completely and utterly, and thus included everything I received. When I discern to be sure I hear correctly and check in with my heart, everything resonates, or I would not be doing what I do. When I started talking about the new sun, I never heard that phrase before. Now I'm hearing it from several sources. The fact is this, we are all receiving similar messages in different styles of communication to get the word out. We are in the beginning of the golden age now. We are all pioneers, conscious and unconscious ones, making discoveries one by one, which is why conferences like this are extra thrilling and deeply valuable for our past. I stand here with such immense respect and open ears to the wisdom of the indigenous peoples who see life clearly, live on earth with such deep reverence as we all should, and view our future with truth and great promise. We are discovering how to manifest consciously and in new ways now. We are learning to tread lightly on this earth as we reverse all the heavy damage done. We are naturally being challenged to face all our beliefs and consider new belief systems as life continues to reveal stunning truths and new understandings. We are seeing life from a much higher perspective, even literally seeing interdimensionally as we wait for the dream of 3D life. And speaking of the new sun, it is delivering the greatest show on earth. We are receiving increasing amounts of liquid light in our bodies from what Michael refers to as the new sun. It's not really new, but but it's new to most of us. It's the great central sun, the sun beyond the sun that we know and gives us life. We are becoming crystalline beings as we are infused with more and more light, slowly though. Our hearts are absolute magnets to this light. Our bodies can't handle receiving a great amount of light at once though. It's a process and why we are experiencing what are referred to as ascension symptoms. But the fact is, our bodies are designed to cooperate and evolve. So the best thing we can do is to move through these changes with grace, awareness, and acceptance. Michael says, look up to the sky, feel the sun in your face and know that your connection to the sun, the new sun beyond your sun, is providing a new path to an enlightenment you have never known. The world, unquote, the world needs our relentless faith, relentless faith, relentless faith, no matter what is going on outside of us. The world needs all of its eternal optimists now. It affects the whole much more than we realize. When I was channeling my book, The New Sun, with Michael, I said, you know, life does feel so different, but it seems that we're clinging to the same old, same old. I said it feels like we're standing in the middle of Disneyland and not getting on any of the rides, a metaphor that Michael whispered to me. And Michael said this, he said, can you allow yourself joy and bliss? Is it hard to accept gifts? Is the world becoming too magical for you? And you try to trick yourself into believing everything is the same. The sooner you can accept your growing new reality, the sooner you can enjoy a heightened human experience. Except there is nothing you can compare this to. There is nothing you can measure this against, as this has never before happened to humans. So you simply need to surrender and allow, unquote. Michael explains that we are leaving our 3D existence of materialism and unnecessary complications for much simpler and much more richly profound lives. He says, these third-dimensional aspects of living are losing their significance in your lives. You care much more about having peace and joy in your life. You care much more about the earth. You are moving away from separation and moving further towards unity consciousness. And this is changing your whole paradigm of living. Unquote. So, as we simplify our lives, it's much easier for us to get back into the business of embracing our spiritual sides, as so much of humanity has lost connection. Communing more with nature and its realness and beauty not only releases our stress, which is so important now, but it grows our light quotients, our energetic vibrations. We experience synchronicity, that unstoppable energetic force that touches all of us every day. I titled my first book, which was on synchronicity, I Can See Clearly Now, for that is exactly what happens when we look up, down, and all around. For synchronicity, or what I like to also call God's mirror. As the veils continue to thin, we see more magic and miracles everywhere, even when looking up at the sky. The clouds are revealing faces, images, symbols, letters, even full words. Please stop by my table this weekend. It's right over there by the door, and I will share from Look Up some examples of this, including seeing images of Archangel Michael and Jesus in the clouds. As we know, though, there's also this extreme opposite when we look up, that of the darkness, and, you know, with chemtrails, right? Well, look into those trails, though, and see the messages through heaven's presence. I mean, there is light and dark everywhere. We look whether up in the sky or the earth, but the heavens are showing us that the light is winning, and we are being helped and blessed in endless ways. But we must continually do our part. We must remain active in this mission and be true co-creators. All our hard work will pay off in ways beyond our imaginations. Michael says, take a moment to celebrate yourself for your grand accomplishments, knowing that you will be rewarded over time in ways that will astound you. One day you will look back and say, this was all worth it, more than worth it. For you are part of changing this world and the universe forevermore. Could there be anything grander? Could there be anything more fulfilling for a human being? And when you unite with your soul while living in a physical body, you will then define the love that you are. Unquote. Finally, in Michael's words, the glories of the Golden Age will be more wondrous than any book or speech or course can describe. Unquote. Well, in these past 30 minutes, I gave a very condensed view of what life will be like. And while words aren't quite enough, your hearts know. Thank you to Archangel Michael, and thank you, everyone. Thank you. So please don't leave. I'm going to go right on to the gazing portion of this time together. I don't have time to get into the whole story about the gazing, but just generally, I've been gazing since 2013, where I channel light through my eyes to others' eyes. And I do this live and also through remote picture gazing from people all over the world. Again, I have information. And actually, I will be doing gazes at my table this weekend if you want a private one-on-one gaze. So let me just quickly explain what the gazing is so that you're informed. Michael explained it to me like this. He said, think of it this way. Your eyes are a magnet to these rays that are emitted as pulses coming from the new sun. And you are basically forwarding these pulses of light into others' eyes. What occurs then is a flash of remembrance of who they really are and brings them into themselves, their true selves. So this will be an inside job. This will be an inside job. I'm only acting as a channel, just as a Reiki master would. Except the energy is emitted eyes to eyes. This is between you and God. I find the more one is open to this, though, the stronger they receive. You may feel something, you may not, but most do. One may feel it at a later time, or perhaps see a shift in your love. I work with a team of 4 angels and ascended masters. I won't say who right now because people often see them during the gazings, and I'll let that serve as a validation for you. If you don't want to be gazed at, no problem. Just don't meet my eyes. I'm going to start with you gentlemen right here, and then go to each section right in a row from front to back.
You want me to ask them to move on?
You know,
I can do that quickly if you want to.
oh, yeah, if it's comfortable.
If you'd like to, she had asked me earlier if you'd like to move up to the front so that she can see you more closely.
Just so I can see your eyes, but you don't have to go all the way to the front, but just go. Thank you so much. Thank you. It helps.
There you go.
It's gazing.
Looking eye to eye. She's looking in your eyes.
And sending energy.
With the rubber.
That's fine. I usually gaze for minutes and seconds that I will tonight. But again, I'm offering longer gazes at my table. Finally, I suggest that while I'm not gazing at you, think about everything you're grateful for, down to the minutia of your life. Everything, down to the minutia, because that helps raise your vibe. And what you're grateful for, you attract more of. So if you can just hold your intentions in your heart and just simply open your heart to receive. Thank you.
Very nice, wonderful, thank you very much. So, at this time, we are going to begin the closing ceremony for the first day of the Star Knowledge Conference. Just one moment.
Are we on that?
I'm gonna ask for the So, at this time, I would like to ask one of our elders, Mahmoudi, to come up on the stage again and offer a closing blessing for us for the first day of the Star Knowledge Conference.
This is the first full day, and the energy is so great. My brothers, my sisters, my children, this is what we look forward to these sessions, and of course, meeting with each other. And also, our Star elders, our Star brothers and sisters have been very cooperative and then been listening to us. So I'm going to say a short prayer in Zuni, and I will explain to you after that what I had asked for. Undian qua diure con nasce più lucche te ne undian qua diure con nasce più ana de ku isha te han topin da pena nati kana ela format ata chu ona tradition auna to lucche te ne toma te ko ne yasha pa ana de ku isha te ona auna. I asked this is one prayer for of all the hundreds and prayers that we go through, this prayer talks directly to the space fathers, the night fathers, the night mothers, and the night priesthood. And they only appear instantaneously. When you see a flying saucer, they only appear very short time. And so what I have told them is that all of us that we have had good contact with you. Of course, they brought us the rain, snow, and so that means that they're watching us, they're hearing us, and all the channels are open for all of us through our different parts. Our hearts and our different chakras. So this has been a very powerful first day and they will continue to be with us, and I believe that they're going to continue starting as every year to open up other avenues to give us more information. And I have been in contact with a lot of you folks here of the updates of it. It's very amazing within the last 5 years that we're on a very logarithmic scale of information coming through. And I am so happy to be hearing all these different facts that are being known to us at this time. So this evening, it has been a great day, and hope that you folks go home and have good dreams and connect with it. And may you all be blessed with the blessings from our people, the sky people. With that, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the morning. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Itakwe Ase. Itakwe Ase. Beautiful first dance ceremony, and please join us at 8 in the morning for another fabulous day. Thank you so much for joining us online and in person, and we'll see you tomorrow. Pleasant dreams.